Anyone got some piece of paper? What do you got, Situ?
I actually did Chanel and Lego, but just
Yep.
sort of where sort of my mind sort of went to. So for Chanel, I got one where you start off with the heart, and then you got a stitching that goes around the heart, like the leather stitching kind of thing. And because it's sort of leather goods. The notable ones would be sort of the heart breaks into two, and which turns into wings, and then out pops a $100 bill, and it flies away.
Love it. Just your money disappears. Okay.
And I guess the notable one for the Lego was like playing with the fact that Lego is additive. So you start off with one block and the block builds up into a heart anyway.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So with Crazy Eights, there's no right or wrong answer. It's purely about ideation. And what we'll do now with the Figma tutorial is we'll start to play with some simple easing and timing. So we start out small, we start with less, and then we can build. So what we'll do is, if everybody has Figma open, I will jump into, where are we? Whoop. This one. Nope. This one. Where are we? Oh man. Got a few tabs open. Well, what I'll do is, for the sake of time, I started goofing around myself here. So what I'll do is we'll start small. And if everybody has that heart micro interaction file, what I've done is I've just scaled it up a little bit. So you'll probably find that the heart is quite small when you start prototyping. When you look at it, it's really small and hard to see. So I'd recommend just taking a frame, making it quite large, and we're going to just play with some simple animation easing and controls within Figma. So I'm going to copy and paste it, and I have scaled it up and place that into the first frame. So just create a new frame, new artboard, enlarge it so that I believe, what do I have here? I have at least 100 pixels wide, because the pixel size on the file that you have is probably like 20 pixels. It's the actual size. And when you start demoing it, it's really small to see. So we're going to blow it up. We're going to exaggerate it just so that we can start to see what it's looking like, and then we can scale it down later. So this is the start state, however you want to begin. And we have this is the stroke around it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy and paste it. And this is going to be my end state. This is going to be, I'm just going to pull it over to the side a little bit. I'll pull it in here. I'm going to add a fill. So the right-hand side, I'm going to give it a fill. And so this is the start state. This is the end state. And what I'm going to do now is just play around with some of the smart animation tools, just so that you can start to see how they work. And I'm going to jump into prototype, and I'm going to drag and drop. And similar to the motion animation tutorial that we started on, some of this will be familiar, but we'll just go back and do a bit of a refresher. The smart animate, I'm actually going to start with an instance. So what does that mean? Like, what does that look like? So if we hit the play button, yeah, man. So you can just see it just snaps, just goes white to red. And that's what we mean by instance. So it's not the effect I want, right? I want it to be a smoother transition. So I'm gonna start playing with and changing that. So on click, navigate, and what I'm gonna do is a dissolve. So what does that do? All right, so I'm gonna ease that in, and let's just change some of the timing. So I'm going to change that to 800 milliseconds, and I'm going to play that. And so you can start to see that nice subtle gradation and glide, right? So that's a little bit better. That's a little nicer. It's better on timing. It's not just the subtle, hard hit. But there's some other things we can do. And purely this exercise now, as I'm doing it, like you to do the same, is that I want you to start to play with the interaction elements within the animation tool. So instead of dissolve, we're going to do a smart animates. I'm going to ease in. And I'm going to do a longer, we'll do actual 1 second and see what that looks like. So what I'm trying to get you to do is to get familiar with the animation tool, but also to just start iterating. So copy and pasting, and that's what we'll do next. Yeah, probably a little bit too long. And so this is where timing and iteration and copying and pasting is really important to just start getting a feel for how the animation tool works. So that's version 1. It's just a simple fade. I'm going to do another version. Just I'm going to do the same thing. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create another state, another frame. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go, let's just use scale. So this is where I'm going to maybe do 50%, make sure these are connected. 50%, 50%, snap that into the middle again. And I'm going to create a little bit of bounce. And so when I connect these, I want to remove this. So let's go back here. I'm going to click to navigate, animate. I'm going to smart animate in, but I'll do a bit of a, I'm going to do a bouncy. It's going to bounce. All right, it's just going to pop. And this is maybe more something to consider for your, your Lego animation. We're going to do a delay. So what's going to happen is I'm going to click on this heart here. It's going to animate to this and bounce. And then after a couple seconds, it's going to go to this state. So instead of click, we want to after delay. And I'm going to do 100. And I'll leave the bounce. I'll leave the bounce and see what happens. So let's see what that looks like. That's okay, but like there's a bit of I need less time in between the second and the third state. So timing on that is a little off. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to change that. I'll reduce the bounce time. And I'm actually going to even make that faster. So let's see what that looks like. That's getting there. I don't mind that. So that is another version of a bounce, or using the ease. So what I'm gonna, what I'd like you to do is copy and paste that heart and create a whole bunch of series of different types of animation using the different eases, using different timing. So work on some timing where you fade it in, fade it out, work on scale, work on repetition. So you copy and paste the heart and create it and tilt it, explore some of your ideas and try to bring them to life with the Chanel or the Lego interpretation. And think of the start state and the end state. And if you want something that springs out, and that's your end, right? In the middle, you're gonna have to hide it. So if you have like little buttons or things, little sprites that are happening, those sprites, use your opacity, set them to 0. And then on the next state, you set them to 100. And in the Smart Animate, it just puts it together and goes, whoop, okay, here's how you create something that pops or creates the color bouncing in and out. So within that exercise, copy and paste it, create another stream of animations, copy, paste, create another stream of animations, and play with the Smart Animate tools, Smart Ease in, Smart Ease in and out and back, and play with timing. So once you start to get an understanding of how things ease, how things bounce, and the timing, then you can really start to build a really strong animation of micro interaction. So there's a little bit of the storyboarding, which we've done in the Crazy 8s. And then there's a little bit of the Figma Smart Animation tool that you need to get your head around on the staging and the pieces and the timing. So timing is really, really key. You can see when something's not quite right and it just delays too much or bounces and doesn't feel quite right. There's other ways you can use masking. So you can create a mask of the red and just fade it up. You can, yeah, I mean, it's really limitless. It's as far as your imagination on how you put it together, but less is more, right? You're just doing those subtle fades, doing the subtle bounce, adding just some subtle opacities, using the opacities, or and copy and pasting, and just iterating. Iterating is the key. So, what I'm going to do now is, would anyone want to like to share some of their animation stuff, or actually before we wrap up soon? Who's got something fun to show?
Yeah, I got my money flying away.
Yep.
Anyway, give me 2 seconds. Yeah. Let me just play it, see if it works.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. Okay, kind of works.
Yeah, there's always like, oh, that kind of works, and you just have to tweak, and that's the whole part of the timing.
You disabled screen sharing.
Oh, sorry. All right. Easiest thing to do. There you go.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, there you go. There goes the money.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's a bit funky.
Yeah, a little bit clunky between the stages, right? What was that smart on animate?
Yeah, that was the one. And I
And
didn't
then,
justify it
yeah,
yet.
did you ease in and out or just ease in?
Let me just see. I think I chose linear because I didn't know what the other two did yet. No, they're easy in at the moment.
Yeah, so if you do ease in and out,
I see.
you might get a nice, more fluid bounce to the wings.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today's course was just really a crash course in going over some components, the trigger, the rules, the feedback, and now then diving you into a little bit of these tools to start storyboarding little pieces of those animations. Anyone else have one they want to share? The good, the bad, and the ugly. That's fine. It takes time. It takes time to, go through this and get your head around the easing and the timing. But yeah, have some fun with it. So, okay. Oh, Situ, can you change me back to the host, please?
How do I do that?
If you click on my video, the top right hand corner, the 3 dots.
Yep.
I
Gotcha.
think I'll use Google Meets next time for sure. Okay. So what I'll do is I'm just going to do a bit of a wrap up. Sorry. Oh. Oh, internet. Why is so slow? It's really not.
Is after delay already enabled? Or is there something you need to do to enable that option?
Say again?
Like I can't click after delay. It's like grayed out. Is there something you need to do?
Well, you can only delay once within a step, right? So if you might have to create another stage. So like if it delays and then goes to the next, yeah, you can't delay and go back to it again. Yeah, it's grayed out, right? Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. How many frames do you have?
Just 2,
Okay,
but it doesn't allow me to change it to after delay.
it's because it can't delay to anything, right? It has to delay and go to something. Delay works when you have a stage in between. So you have start stage, end stage, and then the middle one is the delay. It sort of goes to stage 2, delay, then to stage 3. Does that make sense? So if you can't have that rule when it can't delay and go to anything. That's why it's grayed out. Yeah. Okay. So just to wrap up regarding some of those conversations that we had today. So less is more. So when looking at your animations and your Crazy Eights, consider the brand, consider the communication that you want to put forward. Consider some of the 12 principles of design. So exaggeration, timing in particular is really key. Look at the components of the start of what's going to be triggering it, right? So is it a rollover? Is it a press? The rules around that particular icon. So if it's a heart, what does a heart do? It flutters, it pumps, right? The mailbox example of the arrow or the flag going up. Micro interactions help with providing those error preventions. So if something goes wrong within, for example, the wrong password, consider haptic feedback, consider audio feedback. And again, the micro interactions really are the secret sauce to animations. And when you're looking at your portfolio, consider adding those extra special little touches that can bring your portfolio and bring your brand to life. So next section to this in part 2, we'll go over some UX and UI micro interactions within a full system, such as onboarding. So we'll look at some more, we'll build on some of the micro interactions and put them into one of your possible project passion projects. And that could take the form of an onboarding project where you're doing slides. And so building out a full system where you can put it into your phone and test it. So we'll build on some of this. We'll build on some more of your Figma files, and we'll put some more of this together on Friday. So, okay, 5 minutes till class. I'm just gonna pause this.